Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric here with Iraq Veteran 8888. All right, I want to weigh in a little bit on all this stuff going on between Brazil and Twitter and this Supreme Court Justice Moraes and all this crap that's going on and everything. And look, you know, Elon and these guys are all at each other's throats. And what kind of implications does it have for what's going on here? Is there some greater treachery in play here that we need to be paying attention to? This has some pretty far-reaching implications. So let's just kind of have a basic look at it. See what we're working with here. Before we get started, I would like to thank our friends at Sonoran Desert Institute for supporting today's video. If you're looking for a career in gunsmithing, they are your go-to people. Check them out. They got some great programs, great distance learning programs, awesome curriculum, wonderful instructors. If you want to fly drones, work on guns, get in the gun business, they're definitely your go-to people. Check them out, SDI, and tell them that Eric sent you. All right, so this comes on the heels of a lot of crazy things. So, you know, last week, Brazil moved at the decision of this Supreme Court Justice Alexandre Moraes, or whatever his name is. I can't really pronounce those names too well. They decided they wanted to ban Twitter, okay, completely from Brazil. And in fact, not only that, but say that they wanted to fine the citizens of their country, like I think 9,000 or 9,500 real for every day that they used Twitter during this ban, all right? And since this has happened, many citizens in Brazil have taken to using VPNs to access Twitter, using VPNs to hopefully avoid these scenarios. And I think last time I checked, there was some, I don't know, $220 billion in fines that have racked up by all these people using Twitter and continuing to use Twitter. Well, you know that Brazil's going through an election cycle, and, you know, look, the whole world's kind of going crazy right now, but look at what's going on in our country. Look at what happened in 2020, and look at all of the censorship that ran rampant. In fact, we just had Zuckerberg himself came out and said, yes, they pressured us to move against our political opponents, to do what we wanted them to do, and, you know, we didn't know, you know, maybe he has some sense of remorse about it. You kind of get the vibe that he has some remorse about it, or maybe it's just that he knows a regime change is coming. And Zuckerberg was like, well, you know what, the hell with it. We're just going to blow the lid off of this thing because he expects that some regime change could be forthcoming. Is that the case? I'm not sure. However, it is pretty telling. I mean, a lot of sources have said over the years that in this last election, right, that the Brazilian election was heavily influenced from CIA input from America, and that they actually helped them through use of voter fraud to install the current leader that's there, and he's essentially a communist. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He is a communist. And the popular candidate lost, and it was a big shocker, right? So is this starting to look really familiar to you guys, right? When you look at the deep state, and I hate to put my tinfoil hat on here, but when you look at the CIA's involvement in the Brazilian elections, they were clearly involved. And when you look at all of their involvement and them helping the Brazilian, the leftists in Brazil steal the election, okay, in that cycle. And then you look at what's going on here, right? Now you fast forward to, you know, they're trying to ban Twitter, right? What is one of the underlying things that is happening right now in our community as a whole, right? Legacy media is in its death throes, right? They are being forced, the good ones are being forced to take a step back and go, wow, we really have to reassess how we're handling information, how we are trying to indoctrinate people, how we're trying to lie to people. You know, people are getting fed up with being lied to, right? So legacy media has a really bad black eye right now. You know, they are very worried, and they should be. Their ratings are dropping, their viewership is dropping, and what are people doing? They're turning to, you know, let's just say independent media sources, such as a lot of really great independent journalists on X, and just concerned citizens who are raising the red flag about things that they see going on. You look at the situation in Aurora, Colorado, where all of these Venezuelan illegals armed themselves and allegedly took over an entire apartment complex building, right? And you see that with the local government, you're getting nothing but lip service in this situation. In the years past, let's say last year or 2 years ago, or let's just say before Elon took over at X and bought X and restored some semblance of free speech, you might not have ever really known what was going on in that situation. That story would have been suppressed. the majority of people that did know anything about it would get some sort of state-sponsored lie as a result of what's going on. But what's happening? People now have a much better view of what's going on information-wise. When you have the left say that, well, X is just full of misinformation. Now, it's just full of information. You don't happen to like the fact that it's out there. You don't like the fact that you can't control, you can't win in the court of public opinion, yet you can't control the narrative. And that's why Brazil wanted to ban X, because they can't control the narrative. They can't control the message. They want to have a Cuban-style, state-sponsored TV that tells you what to think, what to do, where to go, how to be, and all you know is Big Daddy government. And that's very much the type of government they want down there. Or at least the people that are in charge want that. The people clearly don't want that. So it's just crazy to think that when these paradigms add up and you start to see the things that are going on, everything from Zuckerberg's admission to the deep state pushing him to censor conservatives and to act and use his platform against conservatives and to suppress certain messaging on his platform, to now Brazil deciding to, right here on the cusp of an election, ban Twitter in order to censor their, to censor the political opposition, the people they don't agree with. What kind of implications does that have for us here? How many people on the left have you heard say, "Oh, Twitter should be banned here"? Oh, well, now on the heels of Brazil banning Twitter, now we should ban Twitter because, oh, well, this misinformation simply cannot be out there. People have to get all their information from legacy media, from the mainstream media. Who do you think is controlling the mainstream media? Who do you think is giving them that messaging? Who do you think is approving that messaging? It's certainly not someone that thinks like you or I, and it's certainly not somebody that lives in a certain, realm of possibilities that you and I do in terms of our everyday struggles as real people, trying to get through in the real world and do real things. These people live on an ivory tower. They rule from the top of an ivory tower. They view you as their subjects. They don't want to treat you like an equal. They don't want to treat you as someone who deserves to get all the facts and to come up with your own freaking opinion on what you think is going on in the world. No, they want to control you. They want to tell you what to think. You will think what we want you to think. So that is the issue right now. If X goes away the dodo in America, especially right here in so close to the election, it would be very telling about not only the left's involvement here, the American left, let's just say the CIA, whatever, alphabet agencies, the deep state, whatever you want to call it. Is it really the deep state? It could be a small group of people with a lot of influence and a lot of power and money and knowing which strings to pull. But is that to say that the leftist paradigm here influencing what went on in Brazil to install that government was some sort of a test for them to see how effectively they could essentially enact a coup in a place like Brazil and then install someone, and then after they're installed, go fully down the rabbit hole of appointing people to different positions, like this Moraes fella, who's a very, very communist, far leftist Supreme Court judge who has a lot of power in Brazil. Is that to say that they didn't see that coming and go, all right, let's see how this pans out, and then use that as a playbook for here? It was even Dominion voting systems that was used in Brazil to suppress the election. So the whole Dominion thing adding up, not to put my tinfoil hat on, but it really does go to show you just how far these people are willing to go to suppress the truth. And if you've got governments saying that, hey, this platform is no good, we have to ban it because we can't have misinformation, we can't have all this going on, right? If you have multiple governments that are trying to suppress a platform like X, that should tell you everything you need to know about X being the place that you need to go. Think about it. Since when has a government said, oh, we have to ban CNN or we have to ban the mainstream media? Of course they're not going to ban mainstream media outlet because they're the one in control of the message. The mainstream media outlet is the purveyor of that message. So they're not going to shut them down. So once you start having governments of the world attacking a social media platform, in my mind, that tells you that that's a social media platform that you need to be using to get all of your information and to keep in touch with people and to support Elon. I am a Twitter Blue subscriber. I'm not here trying to convince you to spend your money with Musk or to become a subscriber over there on Twitter or anything like that. But you know what? It's $12 a month. and you get your little verification check, and you do get a lot of really cool things with Twitter Blue. This is not a plug for them, but you do get a lot of backdoor access to some really interesting analytics and media and data and things like that, which are helpful if you are a social mediaite that likes to get out there and really see what's going on and engage in the community. You know, it's probably worth a little $9 or $12 subscription every month to throw your money in the hat for a guy that spent $44 billion to essentially restore free speech. There's people out there that are calling Elon Musk right-wing. He is far right-wing. Elon is far right-wing, right? When just mere months ago they were calling him, oh, Elon's one of us. He's a, you know, let's say centralist, leftist, center of left. Or whatever, left of center rather, if you want to call it. Now they're saying he's far right. So see, it's not that the people who are within these movements, their ideas change. They just like to move the goalposts to conveniently fit whatever narrative they want to attach you to in that particular situation. Remember when they were calling Russell Brand far right? Remember when they were calling Joe Rogan far right? And just a few years ago, people would consider someone like Joe Rogan left of center. Someone would consider Russell Brand left of center. Some people would even consider Steven Crowder center to maybe right of center. But no, either you agree with us or you are all the way over here as far right as you can possibly go. That is exactly what's happening right now. And I just wanted to bring a little bit of light to this. I didn't know if people knew about it. I know I'm a gun channel, but censorship and the freedom of speech is a very important part of what we do as a gun community, right? You know, because we don't have the freedom of speech if we don't have the teeth to protect it. The reason that we can go online and spew our crap and say whatever the hell we want and not worry about what anybody says is because we have to be reasoned with because we're armed. You may not want to believe that. You may not want to accept that. But that's the truth. An armed society has to be reasoned with. An armed society is a polite society, right? What do they do in Brazil? They took away all the freaking guns. They can do whatever they want to them. Yes, one single Supreme Court justice can say, I'm banning this platform because it goes against what my political party wants to do. And you can't do a damn thing about it because you don't have a way to fight back. That's the future the left wants for America. Wake up, people. That's what's going on. You have to look at the greater picture. You have to look at who's doing what and why. And you have to look at, okay, the left wants gun control. All right, why do they want gun control? All right, look at Brazil. They're using places like Brazil and California as their mold or their, litmus test, if you will, to go, hey, this is how we eventually want things to go here. So if you ever want to know just how far the left is willing to go in America, all you have to do is look at some of their little pet projects. In Brazil, and that whole situation with the election interference and them rigging the election in Brazil is only a tiny microcosm of all the random crap that they're trying to do. So keep it in the back of your minds, boys and girls. I just want to make this video to kind of talk about it a little bit. Let me know what you think, right? Right now, X is involved in a lawsuit to potentially seize some Brazilian assets. Believe it or not, Brazil took a bunch of X's assets, and there's this fight over assets, and there's this fight over property. They've threatened to imprison people who work for X in the country. I mean, all these sorts of things. There are some Brazilians that are pissed about this, because think about it. Even the left in Brazil uses X as a platform, right? So if you're banning the entire platform, you're essentially removing everyone from the conversation, including the people that you actually do support, right? And there's also one more far-reaching implication that maybe some people are not talking about, is that they're wanting to shut down Starlink in Brazil as well, or fine people that are using Starlink in Brazil. Well, here's the issue. When all of those floods occurred down in the south of Brazil, in the southern states down there, right, Elon Musk donated a whole bunch of Starlink units, right? First responders and all of those sorts of people could use the Starlinks to help the communities and things like that. There's areas in Brazil where people have to use Starlink in order to handle trucking routes and to stay in communication and order products and stay in communication with the outside world to be better connected. So now you're creating a far-reaching implication of an issue when you ban the satellite server, the social media platform, all of these sort of things. Now what you wind up doing is creating a situation where people can't order food, trucking and shipments don't move, and supply chains are disrupted, and potentially first responders cannot help people who are potentially, let's just say, in a disaster area. So now it has all of these far-reaching humanitarian issues that maybe these far leftists who, in their ideology, cannot see the greater picture of what they're really doing. All they see is the tiny little microcosm of, oh, well, this is hurting me politically because I might lose this election if people are able to access X and have all the information and see just how unpopular we are. Oh no, never mind the farmers and the truckers and the first responders and the people out in the indigenous areas that need to use Starlink to access the outside world. Keep these things in the back of your mind, right? When a government wants to take down a social media platform and take down the actual satellites that are sending you the internet, they're talking about cutting your internet. That right there is a scary proposition. And if we allow these ideas to take hold here in America, we are in for one heck of a bad time. We have to resist it at all turns. We cannot allow this sort of thing to happen here in the U.S. I wanted to bring some awareness to it. I know people have been talking about it. I wanted to put in my 2 cents. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Let me know if you like this type of format. I'll do more of these. I've got a lot of videos on the way, y'all. I'm so behind on filming. I've got so much stuff to do, but I appreciate your patience, and I've got a bunch of great videos on the way for y'all. We will see you soon. Have a good one.